The following podcast is taken from a live broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone and welcome to Sister Speak. Today you're joined with me, Lamisa. We've got
me, Mariam,
Aysha,
me, Fareen.
Yes, and today we're going to be talking about our main topic, which is surrounding bringing our ideas into reality. And we're very lucky because we have a very special guest, as you just heard. We're joined today by Dr. Aysha Ingar, who's a junior doctor and the founder and CEO of Muslimah, the first Islamic app dedicated for Muslim women. Since creating the app, Aysha's won the Idea Factory competition, shortlisted for the Islam Channel Technology Award, and even presented Muslimah to Her Majesty Queen Elizabeth II. So last month, she also won Young Businesswoman of the Year at the Severa Women in Business Awards. Thank you very much, Dr. Aysha, for joining us today.
Oh, thank you for having me.
How are you feeling to be on today's show?
I'm so excited. I love sort of talking with other sisters. It just feels like a regular sort of Friday evening.
We love that. We love that. Thank you so much for joining us. And we're going to have a really great show today, talking about the Muslimah app and talking about your journey in terms of bringing that into fruition. Just for anyone who is new to our show and listening for the first time, Mariam, do you want to let everyone know what our show's about?
Yeah, so if you want to join in the conversation and contribute with your thoughts, you can call us on 01582 481822, or you can WhatsApp us at 07779 481822. We are also streaming live on Facebook at Inspire FM, and you can share your thoughts at Sister Speak on Instagram.
What's the show about?
So the show is a platform for Muslim girls to voice their own opinions on current events and issues. We talk about a variety of things, for example, identity and politics. Yep. We want to know that all opinions and views are our own, and we respect all other opposing views.
Exactly. Thank you for that. And so, like Mariam said, we have all our contact information, so please do get in contact if you want to share your thoughts with us. We're going to now move on to the first segment of our show, which is called Thought for the Week. So this is where we essentially share a thought for the week. So who wants to go first?
she does that. So my thought of the week is about the Ma Gala, because I genuinely really enjoyed that. So for those who don't know, Ma is an organisation that helps to create change in countries that have... they don't have enough aid for women to have maternity care. And this was kind of my first involvement with Majid because of Lamisa. And when I went to the gala and when they were talking about all the projects that different universities were doing, so they essentially raised funds for these projects. One of the things that one of the CEO, Akhil Chaudhry, I think that's his name, one of the things that he said that really stood out to me is that he wants to envision his organisation to be in a space where, or a place where, that it no longer needs to exist. So what Ma does is creates projects in impoverished countries where there isn't education around female, like the female cycle, so the menstrual cycle, or there's no education about how women should, when they become pregnant, how they should take care of themselves. And essentially what Ma seeks to do is to create aid and give education at the same time. So for me, when I was watching all these videos and when they were talking about the organisation, that's something that really touched me, because usually when we think about charity, we just think about the surface level. However, this organisation seemed very intentional because it's seeking to break the cycles but to educate people. So the longevity of this organisation is something that I feel is really important. And the fact that he said that, he wants Ma not to exist anymore, that's something that I think that I've never heard anyone say something like that, especially of someone that's creating an organisation. I feel like it's become more commercial, which charity is the best, which charity has the biggest brand. However, the intentions of Ma seems to be really grassroots in terms of how it wants to genuinely impact people. So that's kind of my thought of the week this week.
What a lovely thought for the week. And I think everything that you said is so true in terms of the way that Ma goes about handling the issue that they've decided to tackle, sustainability wise as well, and obviously the words of the founder Akhil Chaudhry, I think is his name.
And just the Ma acronym is Maternal Aid Association. Yeah, Maternal Aid Association. So if anyone wants to search it up,
please do. Yeah. Thank you for that, Mariam. We're going to move on to Aysha now.
You're putting me on the spot. So I'm assuming it's something that's touched you recently, I imagine. So it's not morbid or anything. I mean, there's a girl who she's 28 years old, and she is a friend of friend. And she recently passed away. And I had heard that she was unwell, and my friend would always say, just keep Tahir in your du'as. And so I knew she was sick. I think we knew it was cancer, we just didn't know what type it was, and my friend would never ask her. And then my out of the blue one morning, I think it was Friday morning, my friend messaged, said, can you keep my friend in your du'as, she passed away yesterday. And I was having such a hectic week. I mean, I told you that I was pretty much locoming, and I was working, I think, 2 weeks flat. And I remember that just hit me, and I think I was just it was just a reminder of, we're so focused and, you know, about the next day and this life. And she's 28. That's nothing. I think we always think of death as something to be something in the future. It only happens to old people, and especially when I'm working in the hospital, that's what I mostly tend to see. So that, for me, was big, for me and my friend both. It was just a big sort of wake up call, and life just flies by, and before you know it, it's the day it's the day where you have to return to your creator. And I don't even know her, and I just remember saying to my friend, does she have a page where I can donate for her, so inshallah it will benefit in the hereafter. And there is, they've set up a GoFunding or Just Giving page. I think her name's Tahir Mahmood, if anybody wants to donate on her behalf. And I think I just thought about what am I doing for my akhirah. And I think for all of us, we all sort of realised it was sort of a wake-up call that we all need to become better Muslim, because that day's going to come, whether we like it or not. And my friend did see her body, and she said because I felt at peace, because she looked at peace, and there was nur coming up from her face. And I just thought, she's so lucky in a way, because if we are all going to go one day, and we would want to go in such a in a good sort of state. And so that's something that's been on my mind recently. Yeah,
it's a very important thought for the week, because like you said, we're always so busy, and we're always so fixated on the next thing or the next day or the next moment. We never take a minute to kind of sit and pause and think, actually, what am I doing? What's the purpose? And for all of us, we know what our purpose is, but it's easy to forget.
So easy to forget.
And it's something that we try and talk about quite often, is trying to be present in the moment, but it's so hard to do in reality. Talking about our thoughts for the week and how important it is to actually be present in the moment and think about what we're doing with our time. Farine, you had a thought for the week in line with that?
Yes, so Aysha, she shared a really deep thought of the week, which I think is really important to reflect on. And I was thinking about the same thing, and kind of how we prioritize. I feel like sometimes we prioritize the wrong things. So when you pass away, it doesn't matter how many cars you had, how many properties you have. What really matters is how people are going to remember you and your character. And I wouldn't want to be remembered for, I have 15 properties. I want to remember for, she was such a great person, she was really nice, she used to help everyone. So I think we should prioritize, it's okay if you have 15 cars, you're living a comfortable life, but it's also really important to, I feel like, be humble about it, and really think that what do you want to be remembered for after you pass away. So that's my thought of the week.
Definitely. Just important words all around to hear. I feel like it's something that I needed to hear recently. I feel like I've been so going for something and trying to just focus on that one thing. So yeah, it's important that we think about the little deeds that we do every single day and what the impact that they're having. So yeah, thank you guys for your thoughts for the week. What should my thoughts for the week be? I don't know. I feel like just, I guess, along the lines of what you guys are saying, trying to think about the people that you have around your life and trying to make time for them, and trying to be nicer to them, I guess. Sometimes I feel like the closest people we are the most indifferent to, when really it should be the other way around. Exactly. So I feel like, your parents, your siblings, your friends, your really close friends, try and think about them, try and make time for them, try and be nice to them. I guess that's my thought for the week.
I feel like because we're so close to them, we kind of forget that, you know, they can leave anyway. Like with siblings that we were talking about the other day, with my sister actually, that there's no filter between us. There's no barrier that, I have to be this other. You're like the real you with them, and you kind of forget how close you really are.
Very true.
Especially this is important in the lead up to Ramadan.
100%,
because I think all of the thought of the weeks today has really kind of made me think, we don't even know if we're going to live until Ramadan. And so many people think, we're so excited for Ramadan, but we don't even know if we're going to live.
Yeah.
So we have to kind of make those changes now and here and today.
Very true. Very true. Thank you guys for your thoughts for the week. A lot to think about, actually. Mariam, you have some information to share.
So I wanted to share about this research that's taking place by the Muslim Researchers Network. They're launching a study into representation of Muslims in higher education, and they'd like to hear from as many Muslim students and alumni as possible. And the reason why I wanted to speak about that, because as you may have known, that with Muslim Census, they also launched a study on the Muslim alternative for student finance. So that has been retracted, and for that reason, I think the Muslim Research Network is trying to gather an alternative amount of data in terms of how representation works in higher education. So we will be putting it in our Instagram, the link, but I really would urge everyone to fill up that form. So if you are a student or you are alumni, please do. Especially as someone who used to work in higher education, I think it's really important to have this data, because when you are affecting change, you have to be able to inform policy through data. But if we don't have a variety of sources, it's really difficult for us to pitch that. So please do check out Instagram at Sister Speak, or go to the Muslim Researchers Network on all the socials. They have the link there.
Yeah, great way to bring about the change that we want to see, right? Great stuff. Okay, we're now going to move on to our hot topic, and this week we are going through some freshly grounded cards again.
They're really fun cards, you know. They actually they're so deep. They're going to make you reflect a lot, Aisha.
I'm giving you a little prompt already.
Okay, so the first question I want to start off with a bit more of a light-hearted one. In terms of minimalism, what do you guys think about minimalism, and how do you think that you can be more of a minimalist, or do you need to be more of a minimalist?
I want to go first.
Should I go first?
Go first.
I think for me, minimalism, I think there's extremes. I think there should, as a Muslim, we should always think about how we can have a balanced approach to things. So I feel that whilst minimalism is a good thing, I think there's a dichotomy that's kind of presented in our culture. So thinking about having the absolute bare minimum is seen as good, whereas we can live a comfortable life, and that's completely okay. There's nothing wrong with that in Islam. So for me, I think it's about striking a balance and being minimalistic in a way that you're not at ransom to your desires, that you're living comfortably, but you're not dictated by your desires. So that's kind of my approach. And I feel like we can have so great examples from our stories of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and all the other kind of great stories from the Quran that you can study
to help implement that.
Yeah, absolutely.
What do you guys think?
I echo what you said, Mariam. But so I've always been sort of taught to live within your means, and there's nothing wrong in indulging yourself, especially if you've worked hard, and it could be good sort of motivation as well if you're achieving, if you want to go for a goal and you aim and you achieve it. So I mean, just as an example, for most of my F1, I was broke. I was so bad. I was renting, and as we know now how much junior doctors earn. I was most of the time I was broke, and I was having to give money to my family for whatever reason. And then at the end of F1, it was a tough year. You know, you're fresh out of medical school, and you're having to handle the responsibility of looking after patients and real lives. And so at the end of it, I sort of indulged myself by buying Louboutins, which made no sense to anyone because they're like, you're always broke. But it was Clara pay over 3 payments, so it's fine. I managed to, it was okay, but it's definitely live within your means. And I mean, in certain things like furniture and furnishing, I prefer minimalism. I just think it's sort of clear space, clear mind. But I agree with what you're saying. Even like, for example, in the Prophet's time, I can't remember which Sahaba it was, but he would, I think it was Umar Radal Anha, Uthman, I can't remember, but he would wear a new garment every day and donate to charity, but that's within his means. But I know the Prophet ﷺ would just have dates, or they would starve sometimes. So I think it's similar to what you've just said.
Yeah, I think with my approach would be coming from such a big family, you always kind of have to adhere to your needs. So everything that you need, my parents used to give it to me because there's so many siblings. And obviously I'm not working, I'm working as a part-time thing, but all the money that I get is for the little things that you need in college life. So going out with your friends, stuff like that. So I do have all the things that I need. I don't think I need anything else. And I would say that I'm not a materialistic person, and I can have little simple things, just go by my life simply.
You love it. Yeah, I think it's good. It's thinking about when you want to indulge, when it's worth it for you, I guess, in that point, and also not being a slave to your desires, and kind of striking the balance between that.
I think for me it's about experiences. That's what I like to indulge in.
Okay, let's talk about everything that we like to. What's that one thing that we like to splurge on?
Yeah, I think experiences. So having a good experience, or maybe traveling, or going to do something new, or even if it's not something new, just to experience something with someone. I feel that is something value for money, because it's experience that I will remember, as opposed to having something that's really material. I don't know, it doesn't make me that happy, because I'll get over it very quickly. Whereas if I had an experience, I would think, oh, that's a really good memory for me.
Cool.
Yeah, I think I agree with Mariam, because you spend money, but it's not something that, because imagine you buy jeans, then they're gonna, obviously we talk about fast fashion, then you're gonna have them, but the experience is gonna be in your memories forever. But with the money that I have, I do like to buy clothes. I know I said I'm not materialistic, but it's the one thing. If I had a lot of things, then that's the thing I would spend my money on, because I want to have a new outfit every day. But obviously, and I said I'm not materialistic. It's a bit ironic.
It's okay.
It's the one thing. It's the one thing.
Okay.
I think bits of both for me. I like creating memories. I never used to be the person who used to take photos and things, and then now I do insist on it, because you look back and you just think, you know, you had such a fun time. And I think when my sister did dentistry abroad in Bulgaria, and when she graduated, we were trying to get as many family members as we can to go as a last trip. I'd been in Bulgaria, I think 10, 11 times, and because of her, and there was no reason to go after that. And we all went, and we just look back at it and go, oh, we had such fun. And we're looking at the photos for no reason a year later, but we're just like, wasn't that so much fun? And so I think the same. But then sometimes it's, it makes a difference if you have a nice laptop, or if you have a good phone, or so. It depends, but
it's not one particular thing. Mine's the same. I think I haven't had the chance to splurge yet, but when the day comes, inshallah. At
the end of every month, we're just making a little list.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, okay, great stuff. That was that question. I'm going to move on to one of the main questions actually that I want to ask. When was the last time you dared to do something great? I think that was quite a deep question. We just went from splurging to which is interesting. Have we done anything great?
That's something that we got.
Well, I can say for you, Ma, you did the Ma thing, so I feel that was great.
I don't know. I haven't done it yet. I'm trying, inshallah.
But you raised money, and I feel like it's such a good cause.
I appreciate
I've just said
that.
it for you now.
Oh yeah, thank you. That's what I'm gonna say. But yeah, I think. Well, I don't know, because I feel like with this question, like, when was the last time you dared to do something great? It's always quite difficult for us to think about evaluating ourselves and think about what we've done is great, because I feel like we're intrinsically made to feel like we can't talk about our successes.
I think we doubt ourselves a lot, and we think something that's great to you might not be great to me. That's the thing. So it's what you see as great.
But does the question mean I dare myself to do this?
When have you done something, like challenge yourself, I guess, to do something that...
So what's the exact question, like the wording?
Yeah, when was the last time you dared to do something great? Up to interpretation to you guys.
I interpret it as, when was the last time you said to yourself, I'm going to do this? Yeah. And you feel fear. That's when I think of it as. So that was on the way here, actually, I was like, do you know what?
Really?
I'm going to make the most of my F3 year. I was tired like last week. I was like, I can't be bothered. I'm going to use my F3 year to sleep. But on the way here, I don't know if you actually inspired me. But I was like, that is it. I'm going to make, the most of my F3 year. I personally don't like saying my plans out loud.
Yeah, of course.
I like my work to do the noise.
Yeah.
When I say something and I think, oh my God, how am I going to get there? And this is the same with when I first created Muslimah. I didn't even know who made apps and stuff, but I felt that like thing of, oh my God, how am I going to get there? But I know deep down I will.
Yeah.
And you have that fear of, it's not straightforward. It's not like, oh, you know what the steps are.
Yeah.
But for me, that means, okay, I'm on to something that's a challenge. Because if you feel uncomfortable, then you know it's going to be a challenge for you, isn't it? Otherwise, you're in your comfort zone. So that was on the way here on the steps to Luton Station.
I love that she said, I know I'm going to get there though, and that's, I think,
Inshallah.
No, but I think that's something we should all kind of have. We all get this fear when we find a challenge, but I think the people who really are able to be successful in those challenges are those who hold that belief within themselves that we will get there in the end and it's fine. It's hard to have, but it's something that's, if you do have it, it's a great thing to have. I feel like most of the challenges where I have been able to overcome it is when I've had that self-belief. And when I haven't had that self-belief, that's when things kind of go.
So someone told me, don't look at the end goal, just look at what your next step is, then look at what the next step is. That you can see.
Yeah.
And then eventually all the steps will take you to your end goal, which is, because it's so easy to look at it and get overwhelmed.
Yeah.
And this
100%.
is like ranging from students studying to anyone working on their project or etc. So my advice would be to always look at the next step, and that's what I tend to do.
Yeah.
When I do get overwhelmed.
Great advice there.
Yeah.
Thank
I
you.
just want to say, I think it's really important to also be humble about it and not, obviously you think of your goal, but not be too confident, too cocky that you're like, okay, I'm going to do it now. So that just, obviously everyone's going to make mistakes on the way, just to not let them dishearten you.
Okay. Mariam, what about you? When was the last time you did yourself to do something great?
I think I'm a bit like Aysha. I don't really tend to share what my plans are, but I think for me it's about prioritizing myself, and I think I've spoken about that a lot. I think that for me was a huge shift in terms of my confidence. So prioritizing myself, really refining the circle that I'm in. I think that has really changed so much for me and has helped me achieve a lot of the things that I did last year. So I think that is a huge accolade for myself. I feel very proud of it because all I can see is just growth from there on.
Mashallah, we're proud of you, Mariam.
Exactly. Okay, and I guess in line with what Mariam's just said, what was a point in your life when you started believing in yourself?
You know what? I'm going to say radio. I think it looks like, I think it's Journey Sisters, because I feel like before that I might look like I'm really like, obviously I talk a lot, obviously, but when I came to radio, I think I really got confident. Then I used to talk, not make a lot of sense, but now, what was the question again? Sorry, I got.
When was the point that you started believing in yourself?
Yeah, so with radio, I got really confident. Obviously, with all the sisters here, you guys made me feel so confident and tell me I'm doing great, I'm doing this, and you helped me through it. So radio was the point that made me really confident in myself.
Wow, I love to hear that. Yeah, Aysha, what about you?
I don't know. I know I'll go through dips for sure. I think as a kid I was always sort of quite loud and quite confident and just didn't really care and got on with it. And then there are times where you might be put in an uncomfortable situation. Like when I first started uni, I think on the outside I looked confident, but I didn't feel confident at all.
Relatable.
And then you sort of get used to it, and then you're in clinics, and then your confidence go back down, and then you get used to being in clinics and stuff, and then so it goes up and down. I think, I was always, especially when I first started Muslimah, I was like, what am I doing here? And there was a lot of the time I had this massive imposter syndrome, and
But
you just have to keep at it. You just have to keep working and do things that increase your confidence. So I couldn't really put a finger on it.
That's okay. We'll go into it in the second half. We'll join you then. Assalamu alaikum.
When I was born, the first words that I had heard were the words of Allah being whispered through my ear. And as I felt Allah's power in my soul, that day Islam took me in its fold. I am a Muslim, Islam my deen, Allah my Lord, His word Quran, Muhammad Prophet, praise be upon Him. I'm a Muslim for all of time. As I grew up, walking in this great big world, I gazed in awe at the wonders of Allah. And as I learned the cruel lessons of life, Islam shone through as my guiding light. I am a Muslim, Islam my deen, Allah my Lord, His word Quran, Muhammad Prophet, praise be upon.
You're listening to an Inspire FM podcast, making available our popular programs from our daily broadcast on Inspire FM.
Assalamu alaikum everyone, and welcome back to Sister Speak. Today our main topic is about bringing our ideas into reality, and we're very lucky to be joined by Dr. Aysha Ingar. In the first half of the show, we kind of talked a bit about kind of the challenges that we've gone through and how to start believing in yourself. And so now we're going to be discussing a bit more about our main topic. Dr. Aysha Ingar is the founder of the Muslimah app, which essentially locates female prayer spaces, and it's an app designed with the Muslimah in mind. So we will be talking a bit about that. I guess the first question that I wanted to start off with is experiences as Muslim women. What are some of the common issues that we face in everyday life? And then kind of leading into how those experiences shaped you to think of an app to solve those problems, if that makes sense.
Okay, so where do I start? I think just everything, just sort of simple everyday things, from what sort of clothes we wear to having wudu that will, thinking about the day ahead and when prayer times are and whether your wudu is going to last you during the day or not, and where you're going to be praying if you're out, if you're not inside somewhere. And going to what we were talking about, finding a prayer space and, having to think that far ahead, if, to the detail where if you are out and if there is a facility nearby, it does cater for women. And then things such as, during Ramadan, we have specific sort of, warnings for us where if we're on our period, etc., not fasting on those days but making up on another day. Always having to ask those questions of, wait, on my period, can I do this, can I not do that, etc. So it's always, I think, every single day and about everything really. We do have, in general, I think when you sort of go about day-to-day things or making decisions, we always sometimes think, or I try to think most of the time, what does Islam say in this situation? How would I handle this situation? But for women, I think we have our own specific, sometimes guidelines or way of that things need to be done. Or that, even from the way we pray, sometimes is different from how men pray, etc. So we do have our own rulings, and it's about, and most of the time you are having to do things that our counterpart males won't do.
We have our own set of challenges that we need to think about. I think the prayer spaces issue is like such a big one, because how many times have you gone out and you've been like, okay, now where do I pray, or where do I do wudu to pray? And it's frustrating because we have things to do in the day as well, but sometimes there aren't those prayer spaces available, or sometimes they're not as well known. So I think this is the bit where I tell you how that idea came up. I know when I tell you this, you're all going to be thinking of a scenario where you're like, I was just in that position. Or so I was in Ilford, which is northeast London. It's a demographic, I think,
made up of similar people that live in Luton, predominantly Muslim, predominantly Asian. And I was looking for a place to pray, and I used to go to college there, so I was aware that there were mosques nearby. And I remember thinking, it was Asr was about to end. I remember thinking, I know there is a mosque nearby, but even if, and I just couldn't remember where it was. And I remember thinking, even if I do end up finding it, there's no guarantee that I can go and pray there, because not all mosques, as we know, have ladies' facilities. And I was like, okay, wait, let me see if I can like figure out how long it's going to take for me to go home, how long it's going to take mum to finish and stuff. Do I have time to do with all? And I just remember thinking, this shouldn't be hard. I just want to pray. And Islam for me isn't about, is it about making your life difficult, makes it easy. And I think the light bulb moment just came where I was like, come on, let's just make an app that just shows nearby mosques and then show whether it has ladies' facilities or not. And in one tap, it can be answered. That your answer question of where can finding a place to pray is answered in just one tap. And then I remember thinking, there's also hospitals that have prayer rooms, there's shopping centres that have prayer rooms, or museums. And I thought, well, we conclude that too, and I put in an app. And then that was how the first initial rough draft version of Muslimah came about. And then like the more I thought about it, I just thought this is so much more of an issue for female than it is for men, in the sense of men can pray outside. Firstly, mosques are open to men anyways, so they don't have that extra burden of identifying whether it is open for them or not. And then also, even if they can't find somewhere to pray, they can pray outside. But we would be I didn't even have to do a questionnaire to find out how much of an issue it was, because I just knew from my experience, but I did it anyways. And I think 98% of people said they wouldn't pray outside because of being at the brunt of Islamophobia, and that's the fear of that, but also that's happened to them. So I was like, this is more of an issue for women than it is for men. And then I thought, what else do we sort of have to balance that our counterparts don't? And things like just even shopping, and you think you find the perfect maxi dress, but then you might realise it's got a massive slit, and you're like, oh my god, after all of that searching. From that to during the month of Ramadan where you've missed fast and you've got to make up for them. So I just thought, and then I did my research, and I thought, there's no app out there. There's thousands of Islamic apps, but not one caters for our needs. And I was like, okay, I'm making it.
Wow.
And I think because I knew how much it would help me, and then I didn't even have to do any research, but I did as well, as like I was saying. I just know it would benefit so many people like us, because I'm sure I'm not the only one who goes out. I'm not sure I'm the only one who's like cuts the trip short to go back to pray, or miss the prayer, which obviously is just so sad.
It's not something we want to do.
It's not something we want to do. We feel bad, and it's so I knew I'd be helping people in that way. And so even though I didn't know who made apps, what they were called, what degree it was, I can't believe how it's so obvious now. But at that time when I had the idea, it wasn't like tech wasn't really well known. But I was sort of determined, because I was like, is this going to help me? Is this going to help others? So that's what I remember the more I thought about it, I thought it should be easy to fit life around faith with just a tap on your smartphone, which is what our motto is. And that's our vision and the aim of Muslimah.
You guys as the target market of Muslimah, what do you guys think about that?
No, I think it's really good, and I think I really appreciate how you thought of the idea that will help you. And I feel like other guests that we've had on the show as well have said the same thing, that when they created the initiatives or they created the organisation, they themselves were the first person to face that problem, and therefore that was informed by how they would go on with the organisation. So I think that's something that I can really resonate with. In terms of the issue of trying to access a space to pray, I think I just go to shopping malls and I just pretend that I'm going to buy clothes, but I'm really not. And
but sometimes they play music.
That's the issue.
And you get annoyed and you're like, well, it's not really their fault. They don't know I'm praying.
So to me, that does occur to me, but then it does occur to me because I'm like, at least I've got somewhere to pray. I actually don't think about it. I just think, at least I'm praying somewhere, and at least I'm getting the job done. But it does
affect your concentration.
It does affect your concentration. It does feel a bit
haram in it. No, it does feel a bit haram.
It doesn't feel like, I don't know. For me, it just feels like you're kind of portraying something you're not. You're taking clothes you're not exactly not going to even try it on, but then you have to fulfill your needs. So it's just...
You're making the best of the situation.
Yeah, it doesn't feel very right as well, because you're creating work for the person that's going to have to put those clothes back on the rails. So to me, it's just like, I don't really have a choice to do this, but with this app, at least I can locate myself. Because just like you, whenever I travel, I message my friends that I'm from London. Okay, where can I pray? Can you tell me where I can pray?
It's such a mission. Even when I remember when we were, this is when I had the idea and I told a few friends, when it was Ramadan, we were thinking of where to go for iftar, and then but you also have to pray Maghrib, and and they were just like, when is your app gonna happen? So we can just type in the place of where we're gonna go, and it would show us places. I was like, inshallah. I was like, I'm giving myself a hard time as well about it, but it's true. And I've had not just female friends. I remember, so there was this guy who just got married, and he's like, I didn't realise how difficult it was. Like we were out in the city somewhere, we had to end up praying in the car park, and I was like, oh, did you think of Muslimah? And he goes, yes, Aysha, why isn't it available? And I'm like, oh, sorry. But he's like, I didn't realise until he was married with his wife, and
you had to share that experience.
And it just, but I mean, we get reviews and messages from people saying, we just typed it in, and that whole palaver of having to go on Google or having to search or whatever, and then you find out, wait, there's somewhere nearby and all that. It just makes planning easier.
So much easier.
So even the safety aspect as well, because you don't even know, even if you find a place, you don't know how safe that area is, because you haven't really researched beforehand if that area is safe.
Yeah, so sometimes you can go to the place and it's closed. So we also have opening times of the place as well. And then reviews as well. People have reviewed that prayer space, so you can see
that's amazing.
What the it's just when we're thinking it's about accessibility, more information. You can go there. I've been to a mosque and it wasn't open, and I was like, oh, well, that's a wasted journey. And but
it's great that you've got the opening times on there, because I feel like that's also such a common experience. You go and you realise they're closed or they don't offer spaces for women. I know you said that you didn't even know where to start in terms of who the app developers are, where to go. Do you want to talk to us a bit about how that journey kind of started and how you were really able to push it through up until this point?
So I'm going to tell you the story and you're going to laugh but this is where I think du'as played a massive part. I think I did. I made dua, and you're gonna laugh. It was a family friend. They'd come from abroad. I had to just go and see them, and just pay my respect. And then I was making dua for a while, and I would just talk to the uncle, and then he's like, oh, my son makes apps. And I'm like, what? Tell me more about this son. And then I spoke to him, and then I was like, what? Like the simplest stupid questions, like what is it called? Who makes apps? And so he, by chance, opened. I went there to meet the uncle and just say hello, that he'd come from another country, and from there he was able to give me more information and and that's how it started.
That's
and that's
amazing.
I didn't have a plan. I didn't even know what to type on Google, because you just put everything on Google, sometimes they give you an answer. And it was I remember making dua when I went to visit my sister in Bulgaria, and I think it must have been pure intentions. I don't know what else to say, because I couldn't have planned it. I didn't want to go. I was like, oh, Mum, I'm tired. I've got uni the next day, and she said, no, that's the elders, you should go and respect, and I think that is literally how it happened. I mean, I would say now LinkedIn and Google and things like that are sort of your bet, that you can do so much. Even like Instagram, for example, you can do so much with reaching out to people. I didn't know who to reach out to in order to, but with everything you do, every project, anything, always just make dua. And Allah SWT does make it easy. He definitely made it easy for me.
That's amazing to hear. And it's amazing to hear that your story kind of started off with a personal connection almost. And I feel like that's what a lot of us we don't usually see it, the connections that we have in front of us and the people that we have in front of us. So we always kind of go to think to the next step, like we need to try and make these things, but you might already have those connections available around you. You just need to utilize them, right? And Mariam always talks about the importance of networking as well. So like you said, LinkedIn and things like that, and going to different events and meeting people and talking to them about your idea, I guess would help you get started in that sense, right?
I hate networking. I didn't know how it worked. I thought it's a script that one has to follow. I didn't know any of it. And then I think everybody thinks you have to go to these events and like get a result or get, and it's not about that. It's just about being yourself. And there may be someone who resonates with what you're saying or is able to help you, and there may not be, but it's fine. The benefit is that you got your word out there. They know what you're doing. So a lot of the times I felt quite out of place being there, and especially as sometimes I'd be the only hijabi there, and normally that stuff wouldn't get to me, but I did feel it a bit. And but then when I realised I was putting too much pressure on myself, and once you just talk about what it is that you're doing, and there are results. And sometimes I've had people who I wouldn't thought who'd come out and help me reach out. Yeah. So just, you don't know who's going to be there. Don't put pressure on yourself. Just be there to get the connection. And they might not be able to help you there and then, but they may help you later, or they may come to you for something else. Yeah.
That's a good mindset to go into things with.
There's something I wanted to add, because I went to a launch, Muslim in Public Policy launch, on Monday. Yeah, it was on Monday. And the founder, his name is Irfan, he said the exact same thing. So he faced a problem in terms of having the lack of access to people to help him to get into local government. So this organisations to help people in terms of trying to get into policy, but in other areas as well, for example, finance. And his backstory was that he literally messaged someone on LinkedIn that was similar background. He had no idea who this person was. And they both started to talk, and they both faced the same problem. And then now they launched an organisation which aims to help build a network in this area in terms of civil service, in terms of local government, and to have outreach activities. So it really is all about an idea and just connecting with people and you resonate. And again, it's about intention. So your intention is to help the Muslim community, to help people, and Allah will facilitate you. And I think it's about not giving yourself this trajectory that you have to achieve a certain milestone. You kind of have to allow it to kind of pan out and to be flexible.
Yes,
you know your end goal, but you don't know which direction it's going to take, and you have to be quite open to that and adaptable.
Yeah, when I first made Muslimah, it was just going to be a prayer-based locator. And now, we have prayer times of local mosque, and in Ramadan we'll have the Ramadan timetable. We have after each salah the adhkar, you pray after each salah. Anything I thought we do that I think we could just, that could make it easier for us to always continuously practice Islam. That's what goes on the app. And so it went from sort of one sort of single function to a multi-function app. And what I want Muslimah to be, and I'll go to sort of, inshallah, utopia, is for all like our needs, Muslim women needs, on one app. If you want to be a better Muslim, you just gotta download Muslimah. Like what I want is my daughter, inshallah, one day to be like the first app. Okay, on a side note, I just want to say, because it's one of the most wholesome email we ever got. It's from a 13-year-old little girl, little mini Muslimah as we call her, and I love her. She just emailed us with, I don't even know how you even know how to email a company, and she emailed us like a list of all these suggestions that she wanted from Muslimah. She goes, and then she ends it with something along the lines of, "Thank you for making Muslimah. It makes me feel like a Muslim." At the age of 13.
Wow.
And I was just like crying. I was like, this is just, it was so, you don't know where your work is, how far it got, how far it the reaches, and how much it helped someone. At 13, you're just figuring out who you are. You're trying not to like give into peer pressure, trying to feel accepted. And I think being into religion and stuff is not even seen as cool really at that age. And I just, for her to feel like she felt like a Muslim using Muslimah, it's just, alhamdulillah, I just remember thinking, okay, we're doing something good here.
As a founder and as a creator of something that's actually having an impact, I mean, how did that make you feel? What was that feeling like?
It brought me sort of back to, like, it made me realise why I was doing this. And I mean, when you're so into it, on the surface, it may look like, I've got this under control, and believe you me, I don't. I'm replying to emails at like midnight and checking over social media posts at 5 a.m. It's but you forget why you're doing it. You forget, are you making that impact? Are you having that effect? Are people, reading the adhkar after each salah, that, it's a good reminder, or are they still forgetting, etc. And it just brought me back to, this is why I'm doing it. This is, this was the aim of it. And to continue, the whole stressing about replying to emails or looking over our post or freaking out about the design of the app is all worth it, because it was able to make someone feel like that. I didn't think that's what, I mean, I want Muslimah to make it easier for people, for us to balance faith and life. But I didn't think, wow, someone felt like a Muslim. That was amazing. That was more than I could have wished. And so humble, really.
Mashallah.
And,
Allah Mubarak for what the app has achieved, and you know, the actual impact that it's having, and to be someone who started all of that is like, it's an amazing thing. And
I told you I don't like compliments.
I know, but I need to say
so
it. You should be. It's inspiring as a
No.
person who's kind of a few years behind from where you are at this point. The type of impact you're having is also the type of impact that many of us want to have, and so you do act as an inspiration.
Should I tell you what I was doing when I was in physics A-level mock? It's so sad. This is what I was doing. I was like, do you know, so you know, units and stuff, like you have joules, whatever, and you have Newton, right? And I thought, this guy Newton, he didn't know that like many years later, like hundreds or thousands of school children are going to be writing his surname, right? Like, you know, and I've just thought, he didn't think about his name and making a name or whatever. He just went and did his own thing, benefited society, and everything. Sort of many years later, we recognise that, and we're
learning about him.
And writing his surname, for instance. And I thought, that's just. And I remember thinking, I want to be able to have that same impact. And even when I started Muslimah, I didn't want anyone to know it was me until I met the Queen, and then my picture was everywhere. And I thought, great, this is just, there's no hiding from this. And I think that's all about. It's about. It's about the work we're creating. Helping and benefiting people.
Exactly. It's all about that intention, and I think, you know, there are loads of young people out there who do want to have that type of impact. In terms of bringing an idea into reality, though, I'm sure a team is really, really important to have and to help. You know, I'm sure there's a lovely team at Muslimah that help the app, you know, run every single day. What advice would you give to young people out there who are looking for a team? What should they be looking for? And also, how do you find your people?
So for me, our initial sort of team circle was anyone who had reached out to me and was like, I want to get involved. I love what you're doing. Let me know if I can support you, etc. And I think when we sort of had our first project, I reached out to those people. And I reached out to people who I thought might be interested in helping just because of what their vibe is. And that's how I did sort of publicise it and say, you know, who wants to get involved? This is what we're doing. We're making the first app for Muslim women. This is our story. If this is something that resonates with you and you'd like to participate, this is how you can join. And that's how we had our first team. And then you attract people who want to get involved in that. And that's how we first managed to have an initial team and then start growing. It's difficult. Always, I look at whether you can offer. You know, you have to look at what they bring to the table. And I mean, there's no point of having someone on the team, but they can't really do anything. So I would say, you know, look at what you would want and see what they offer, and if it's a match, then Otherwise, they'll be on the team, but they won't be doing anything. And then, but maybe later down the line, they would be a good fit.
Okay. So I'll ask one final question, if that's okay. Yeah. Just how do you balance doing your extra projects and your work life? Because I think that's a lot of questions that a lot of us want to. A lot of us would want to know.
So now, recently, alhamdulillah, one of the big things that I've wanted to do for ages is to start my day early. The days where I wake up at Fajr, but to start your day early, you need to sleep early the night before. Definitely. So sleep early after Isha, and then wake up for Fajr, stay awake, and that time where after Fajr is the time filled with barakah as well, and you feel it, and you're just more focused. No one's messaging your WhatsApp, and no one's like messaged you for you to reply to. So that's one. That was a big change that I saw come through. I was able to do like any stuff that I need to do beforehand, and then go to work, and then you're pretty much focused at work. Looking after yourself, so eating well, what sort of foods you eat affects your energy levels, and sees whether you can get through the day or not. And then time management. I am old school. I have a diary, and I write down things and plan ahead, and then once it's written down, you're organised. You know when you're doing what. You don't have to worry about it. So those would probably be my 3 sort of top tips.
Yeah, and we've
really
just had a message in from a sister Husna. She says she's just downloaded the app, so jazakallah khair.
Oh, jazakallah khair, Husna. Hope you find it useful, inshallah.
So yeah, those are some great tips. I think, implementing it is the hard part, but inshallah we'll get there. We can implement them in. So you talked about having a trusting team. I think another big kind of barrier for people to get their ideas off the ground is also funding. So what advice would you give to young people out there who have this idea but they have the big issue, which is money?
So at my university, if you're at university, I think now entrepreneurship is something that's talked about a lot. So I think maybe that year or the year before, our uni's Entrepreneur Institute they just started it, I think, around that time, and they had a few competitions, and I applied for one and then managed to win that. I don't know how, but okay, I shouldn't say that, but and yeah, alhamdulillah, that sort of kick-started our pot. And then there's a lot of so I would say there are lots of grants available out there. There's I mean, if you just were to type in like entrepreneurship, I think it's called Enterprise Nation. I think they're great at starting if you're starting a business, how to go about it. Look at your universities like business school or entrepreneurship. They may offer some. But there's also other ways of funding. So there's like different fundraising rounds that you can apply for, like invest in, like pitching competitions. There's the mayor's competition. There's a lot. Yeah, it's an art. You have to put in a lot of effort into your message, what your brand, your product is about. And sometimes if it is sort of a social cause, you can also fundraise as well and say this is what it's going towards.
So there's multiple different avenues.
Yeah, there are. I was told to do that, and I was like so nervous and shy. And then now, my perspective's changed a bit. Yeah. So there are multiple avenues. Yeah,
exactly. So don't let it be a barrier to you bringing your idea into reality. So unfortunately, that is the end of our show. 1 hour goes so fast. Thank you so much, Dr. Aysha Ingar, founder of Muslimah app. Thank you so much for joining us. So much to learn from today's show, and inshallah all those young entrepreneurs out there will have some advice to take home. And we'll be back next week with a good show. So assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.
Thank you for listening to our podcast. Why not tune in to our live stream at inspirefm.org and follow and subscribe to our social media platforms at Inspire FM Luton.